Spain is famous for its world-renowned landmarks such as La Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, the Alhambra in Granada, or Madrid's Plaza Mayor. Yet, beyond these iconic sites, there are places that remain under the radar, spots full of beauty and history that never fail to amaze you if you visit them. In this video, I will take you to explore 3 of Spain's most underrated monuments. The moving Mausoleum of the Lovers of Teruel, the mighty Citadel of Jaca in the heart of the Pyrenees, and the majestic Cathedral of Cuenca, one of the country's hidden Gothic gems. Get ready for a journey that blends emotion, history, and architecture as we uncover corners of Spain that truly deserve more recognition. Teruel is the smallest provincial capital in Spain, but is also one of the most beautiful cities in the entire peninsula. With its mix of Mudejar and medieval architecture, it offers a journey back in time to those who visit it. The heart of Teruel beats with a rich cultural heritage and vibrant local life. Its many monuments and museums invite visitors to immerse themselves in the history and traditions of the city in which the moving story of the Lovers of Teruel was born. The story of the Lovers of Teruel, Isabel de Segura and Diego de Marcilla, is a tragic legend that dates back to the 13th century in the city of Teruel. According to tradition, Diego and Isabel were 2 young people belonging to noble families. They were in love since childhood, but Isabel's family opposed their union due to Diego's lack of wealth. Faced with this situation, Diego asked for 5 years to go to war and make his fortune, promising to return with enough status to marry Isabel. She agreed to wait for him. After 5 years and seeing Diego had not returned, Isabel's family, thinking that he might have died or relinquished his promise, decided to give Isabel's hand in marriage to a richer man, Don Pedro de Azagra. On their wedding day, Diego returned to Teruel, rich and victorious, but he did not arrive on time. He did so just after the ceremony. Desperate, Diego managed to enter Isabel's chambers and ask her for a kiss, the only and last one, as proof of her love. Isabel, torn between her duty and her feelings, refused, arguing that she was now a married woman. Diego, overwhelmed by pain, fell dead at her feet. The next day, during his funeral, Isabel, full of regret and pain, approached Diego's body, gave him the kiss that she had denied him, and immediately she fell dead next to him. The city of Teruel buried them together, and over time a mausoleum was built in their honor in the church of San Pedro. Since 1555, the recumbent bodies of the Lovers of Teruel were exposed in the cloister's church, and thanks to the good dry climate that Teruel has, the mummies did not suffer total deterioration. Inaugurated in 1956 and created by the sculptor Juan de Avalos, the sculptures of the lovers lie side by side with their hands almost touching but not coming together, symbolizing the barrier that life and death placed between them. As we have already mentioned, the Church of San Pedro has great importance in this architectural complex. It was built throughout the 14th century and responds to the typology of a single-nave church with a polygonal apse and side chapels that cover a simple ribbed vault surrounds the entire temple. The cloister of San Pedro, built in the second half of the 14th century, belongs to a group of 4 Mudejar cloisters that are still preserved in Aragon. The apse, also from the 14th century, has a 7-sided polygonal shape, declared together with the Mudejar Tower of San Pedro World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1986. It is decorated with intersecting mixed linear arches made of highlighted brick and green-white glazed ceramics of Almohad influence. On the roof, there are 7 small octagonal towers that give the apse a very unique appearance. The Tower of San Pedro, built in the 13th century, is the oldest of the Mudéjar towers in Teruel. Currently, you can climb the tower's bell body using a spiral staircase that consists of 74 steps. The beauty of this Mudéjar architectural complex leaves no one indifferent. It is a must-see place for those who want to know more about the essence of the city of Teruel. The Mausoleum of the Lovers of Teruel is without a doubt an essential place, not only for its artistic and historical values, but for the powerful love story that it contains. A story that has been a source of inspiration of numerous works of art, literature, and theater throughout the centuries. The mummies were buried in the chapel of San Cosme and San Damian in the church of San Pedro. This fact was supported by the subsequent testimonies of the notary Yagüe de Salas, which indicates that an old document appeared that recorded the event. Visiting this place is immersing yourself in the spirit of Teruel. A small city yet full of charm, where every corner whispers stories of love and legend. The story of the Lovers of Teruel has endured through the centuries, becoming a symbol of tragic and eternal love. Hi everyone, we're inside the Citadel of Jaca, and it's a military fortress, and they have a lot of activities with some deer that they have here in semi-freedom, a lot of museums, expositions, theater recreating the medieval times. And it's really wonderful to come and see this and just spend the day here, because there are a lot of activities with children that you can do, and you can easily spend the day here. The food is really great also. And so yeah, come to Jaca, come to Spain. Jaca is a historic city located in the Aragonese Pyrenees. It has witnessed key events in Spain's history, and its heritage is a fascinating blend of medieval, Renaissance, and modern influences. The city is renowned for its beautiful old town, its impressive Romanesque cathedral, and of course, as we mentioned, the majestic Citadel of Jaca. The citadel is a pentagonal defensive fortification built at the end of the 16th century. Its construction was commissioned by Tiburcio Spanocchi, an engineer serving King Philippe II as part of a defense program of the Aragonese border with France. Thus, in the Aragon Valley plain, at the foot of the Pyrenees, the San Pedro Castle was constructed. This fortification allows new military architectural designs adapted to the use of artillery, characterized by lower, thicker walls with slopes and specific placements for cannons and other firearms. This ensured a well-defined line of fire. Its 5-pointed star shape with bastions at each vertex eliminates blind spots for potential attackers. The citadel has retained all its characteristic features: a moat, bastions, escarpments, barracks, powder magazines, tunnels, and a beautiful entrance accessed via a drawbridge. Thanks to its excellent state of preservation and management, in 1985 the European Union awarded this majestic building the Europa Nostra Prize. Access to the citadel is through a drawbridge with a pulley system dating back to the 19th century, the only way to enter this fortress. The entrance gate, featuring a beautiful vaulted ceiling and guardhouse, was designed in 1613 and originally bore the coat of arms of the Spanish monarchy. Today, the shield of Philippe II is still preserved. The current bell tower dates to 1703 and was used to hold bells that transmitted information and orders to the fort's occupants. The citadel not only served military purposes but also had various non-defensive uses throughout its history, including as a military barracks and a prison. Demonstrating its historical evolution, barracks and storehouses were built, enclosing the main parade ground, which now houses a statue of Philippe II. From this square, visitors can also access the chapel dedicated to Saint Peter, the patron saint of the city of Jaca. Inside, the chapel features an 18th century altarpiece containing a painting of the Immaculate Conception. Today, the citadel is home to one of the finest military miniature museums in existence. With more than 35,000 pieces, the museum showcases different scenarios related to battles and armies from around the world. Additionally, the citadel offers a vast space for exhibitions, such as Miradas Olvidadas or Forgotten Gazes by Ismael Garcia, which invites visitors on a journey to the unknown. Undoubtedly, the citadel is an ideal venue for cultural activities. Examples include visits to the moat to learn about conservation efforts of the animals residing in the forests and raising awareness through environmental education. Guided or self-guided tours, peque visitas for children, where the history of the citadel and the miniature museum is presented in a fun, educational and interactive way. And of course, the highlight is the theatrical tours. These entertaining and engaging performances are suitable for the whole family, offering a glimpse of the life during the time of Philippe II. The actors of the play and the manager of the citadel, Don Julio Rina, have been kind enough to let us film some parts of this incredible and fun play, so that you can get an idea of what you can see, although every play is different from the last. Today, the Jaca Citadel is a major tourist attraction, providing an immersive experience into Spain's history and a deeper understanding of Renaissance life, and of course, the military conflicts that shaped the course of history. The Cathedral of Cuenca, the star par excellence of the different monuments that this city with the same name has to offer. Situated in the Great Square, the Cathedral of Cuenca is directly related to its conqueror, the King Alfonso VIII, and even more so with that of his wife, Queen Eleanor of England. Its construction began in 1183 after the reconquest of the city, in the same place that an old Arab mosque had occupied until then. The first stone was laid in the time of the bishop Don Juan Yanez, descendant of the Cid and first bishop of the reconquered Cuenca. From the main doors of the transept, the cathedral has 3 naves. From there, it widens into 2 more side naves, giving rise to a splendid ambulatory, framed by chapels and oratories on both sides. If we take into account some of the characteristic details of a structure, and above all the artistic triforium, we will have to recognize that we are faced with the best example of Anglo-Norman Gothic art that exists in Spain. The date of the completion of this wonder, according to authorized opinions, is between the years 1480 and 1485. The facade that we can now see is all the work of our century, whose reconstruction had to be undertaken after the tragic collapse of April 13, 1902, an unfortunate date for the city in which the entire main tower collapsed. Upon entering the cathedral, one thing will strike you above any else: its magnificent light. The desire to transform light into colored air comes from Matisse's chapel of Saint Mary du Rosaire in the small village of Vence, near the town of Nice. In this chapel, Matisse worked with color much like sculptures work with stone. This gave the artist Gustavo Torner the idea to introduce the play of light into the Cathedral of Cuenca. Using gold in the stained glass windows, the color of his childhood memories, he not only created a beautiful colored refraction on the bars and the other sumptuous elements of the temple, but also ignited the air within, making the inside of the cathedral glow with a dreamy deep golden light that will draw the gaze and amazement of anyone who sets foot in this temple. Inside the cathedral, there is one curious thing that stands out, and that is the Latin inscription Unum ex septem, which translates to one of the seven. It means that is one of the 7 altars of the cathedral, where you can get the same indulgences that you would get by visiting and praying in the 7 basilicas of Rome. This privilege was bestowed in 1849 by Pope Pius IX at the request of the Bishop Fermín Sánchez Artesero. The Greater Chapel is the place where the Eucharist is celebrated. It has been the subject of various different reforms since its beginning. The most important of these were the construction of the double ambulatory in the 15th century, the shifting of the chancel to the central nave in the 17th century, and the construction of the new altarpiece housing the body of Saint Julian in the 18th century. The altarpiece is a monumental character, though it has only one body, which is supported by 4 Corinthian columns. The central scene shows the Nativity of Our Lady in old relief. We see the 2 figures of Saint Joaquin and Saint Anne on either side of her. 2 angels create a nexus of union with the tympanum, and another 2 crown this union holding a vase of lilies. This sculpture collection is the work of the Italian Bocciardi, carved from the Carrara marble. The marble in the rest of the altarpiece originates from the Cuencan quarries. And if you're enjoying this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, share, and definitely subscribe to watch more amazing videos like this one. The chancel is located in the middle of the central nave, designed as a space for the singing of the liturgy of the hours of the bishop and council. There are 47 seats in total, including the bishop's seat designed by Pedro de Saceda, who constructed them in the 18th century. Carved in walnut wood, the low standing is simple in its design. The high backrests are adorned with reliefs of saints created by the sculptor Manuel Gassó. The episcopal seat has the image of the Savior carved into the backrest. The lectern that we see in the center was designed to hold the large choir books. It is worth highlighting the crown finish featuring 6 royal eagles surrounding a vase of lilies. These are the hallmark of the cathedral and a symbol of Mary. The chancel is flanked by 2 impressive organs which were installed in the 18th century, as well as providing a musical accompaniment to the liturgical acts. The organs also continue a decorative element which further enhances their function. The chapel of Our Lady of the Tabernacle is one of the most noble and splendid chapels in the cathedral. It is entirely constructed from marble from the Cuencan highlands. The Bishop Don Enrique Pimentel ordered the chapel to be constructed in 1629. The great altar is dedicated to the Virgin of the Tabernacle, whose image presides over the room. This image accompanied Alfonso VIII in all of his battles, placed in the arch of the king's saddle. When he reconquered Cuenca, he donated the image to the city, declaring himself to be the patron of the same. This is, therefore, a carving from the 12th century. The Chapel of the Transparency, by order of the Bishop Don Alonso Antonio de San Martin and designed by Ventura Rodriguez, began its construction in 1753. This architecture is the product of an elegant and redefined neoclassicism. The central body houses the scene of the Virgin delivering the palm leaf to the saint. On the left-hand side, we see a saint weaving a wicker basket next to the saint Adelemus, and on the right-hand side, his baptism. This altarpiece is crowned by the three theological virtues. The smaller rose window houses the transparency, which holds the urn of Saint Julian, connecting to the greater chapel. The greater sacristy. The first and most striking element that we come to as we move closer is the Gothic Elizabethan facade. The central niche houses the Assumption of the Virgin. Flanking the doors are St. Peter and St. Paul. The sacristy is the place in which the robes and the sacred vessels for worship are kept. The altarpiece which presides over the room has a Baroque inlay in its central part, which dates back to the beginning of the 18th century. Once again, we find ourselves standing before a spectacular Renaissance facade in the facade of the chapter hall. The base displays two winged lions. Above, in the spaces between the columns, we see the four cardinal virtues with their respective attributes. The crowning scene presents the adoration of the shepherds, and it's completed with the three theological virtues. Inside the chapter hall, the council gathers to discuss different issues relating to the cathedral. The most striking aspect of this hall is the coffered ceiling, which was constructed in 1512. The sunken chapel is another beautiful chapel to visit in the Cathedral of Cuenca, and receives its name because of its floor, which was originally several meters below ground before being raised up approximately 4 meters. The size of the coffered ceiling is very impressive due to the raised floor and similar to that of the chapter hall. This was the first chapel to be constructed after the victory of Alfonso VIII. The chapel is dedicated to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, whose image presides over the large altarpiece. There are many other smaller chapels to visit in the Cathedral of Cuenca, like the Chapel of the Assumption, where we find a Gothic learned vault and plateresque altarpiece of the Assumption of the Virgin, made in the second quarter of the 16th century. The Chapel of the Holy Spirit, constructed in the second half of the 16th century and accessible from the cloister. The Chapel of St. Martin, being perhaps the smallest chapel of all, yet its decor is beautiful and perfectly balanced. The old Chapel of St. Julian. The urn of the saint was kept here from 1516 until the construction of his permanent chapel in the retrochoir. The interior of this chapel houses a Baroque altarpiece which is dedicated to the saint. The altarpiece of Saint Fabian and Saint Sebastian. This altarpiece is joined to one of the pillars which form the ambulatory. It was designed by Diego de Tiedra, a fantastic visionary from the 16th century. The altar of Saint Joseph was founded in 1740 by José Cano Abril, prebendary and canon of the cathedral. This small Baroque artwork displays influences of French Rococo. The Arch of Jamete. This impressive Renaissance arch provides access to the cloister. It represents, without a doubt, the largest architectural feature in the entire cathedral, and it is indeed one of the most important religious monuments of all Renaissance Spain. It was designed by Esteban Jamete. The decoration of the arch features the Last Supper. In the center we see Christ holding a cup surrounded by the 12 apostles. The Cathedral of Cuenca is yet another masterpiece among Spain's monuments. As if the same hand of God which shapes our lives to His great purpose was also shaping this incredible cathedral through the centuries, from its Gothic origins through all the reconstructions and different artistic influences into the unique temple that is now today, and that without a doubt He will continue changing until perfection is obtained. These three places may not be as famous as the country's major landmarks, but I'm sure you'll agree with me, they're just as fascinating. Because sometimes the most unforgettable places are the ones nobody tells you about. My name is Alex Moraras. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, share, and definitely subscribe to find out more amazing places to visit before you come to Spain.